2, 1, and we are live. Hello, everybody. This is Tim. And I'm going to pull the shade here. I didn't know how light that would be. So here we go. I've got Mr. Brad Courtney on the phone. And
good morning.
Yeah, and we're getting still morning here. We're broadcasting from Kansas City. And it's been a while since we've done a video, Brad. Normally we do some type of Bible talk today. We're going to do something a little different in light of the circumstances that have befallen the American people, the justice system and politics in the United States with the conviction of one Donald J. Trump late Thursday afternoon. Former President Trump was convicted of something, and we still do not know exactly what the crime is. People are trying to figure out what the crime was. They're saying that, well, he approved repayment to Michael Cohen, his former attorney, for sending hush money to Stormy Daniels. However, the testimony from President Trump was that the situation with Stormy never happened. There was never an affair. I know they played back some testimony from David Pecker, the National Enquirer editor, and Trump told him, says, I never pay for stories because they always come out anyway. So it looks like, in fact, what happened was Michael Cohen mortgaged his own house, paid off Stormy Daniels for this, and then billed President Trump's company. And finally, the people who are in charge of Trump's finances said, well, we got a bill from Michael Cohen for this much. We need a check. So Trump writes a check. And now they're saying he's liable for the payment when he has no idea. He thought they were just normal legal fees. And so he's been unfairly convicted. And that's kind of the case in a nutshell. Brad, how much of the case have you been following?
Pretty much all of it. I love just what you just said, and that the whole idea there is when you've got an organization as vast as the Trump organization, he is signing checks for things that he has not investigated every single day.
And that's normal of a CEO. They can't possibly know.
Thing. Every single president of the United States has written checks for things that they don't know what they're signing for. Every single one.
Yeah.
Biden, Obama, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, they're all millionaires. They all have businesses that they run in addition to being the politician and the president or former president. And there's no way you can know that kind of thing. That's what you have accountants and lawyers for.
Right.
And so in that situation, there's things that can be put in front of him, and then they're saying that he intentionally violated New York election laws. Is the ultimate tip of the spear type of charge that brought all these other charges.
That was a federal election laws, correct? Because the feds did not charge this in any way. They knew better.
No, there's some kind of federal investigation thing going on by some partisan politician, but nothing that matters in the scope of things.
Right.
Normal stuff. They've all been investigated.
Right.
By the same kind of people. And so his situation is not unique. It's just no one ever took action on it because why waste the taxpayers' dollars?
Yeah. Unless you have a vendetta against
Clinton,
somebody.
$800,000 verified paid to someone that they pretty much admitted that he had an affair with, Paula Jones, and yet no charges whatsoever.
Right. Exactly. Of course.
Because the politics of Arkansas would not have dealt with it.
And even federally, the Clinton's dossier that she got against Trump and all that, which was proven false, the whole Russia thing, the dossier, the whole 9 yards of that. And she was never convicted or tried or indicted or anything.
Right.
And she also had the documents that she shouldn't have had, right? classified
That's correct.
documents, and they
That
knew
is
it,
correct.
and she shouldn't have had it. And Joe Biden, as a senator, had classified documents. There's no indictment on him yet. Now, what goes comes around. And the Democrats have found this out before the hard way when they got denied Merrick Garland, who's now Attorney General. But he got denied going on the Supreme Court. And as a result, Trump got to pick Gorsuch and then others to replace those who retired or whatever. So the thing is, what goes around comes around. And if they're going to indict former presidents now, a district attorney in a city or a state can now all of a sudden indict a former president. Well, I guess Clinton and Obama are just as fair game, right?
That is true.
So they've
As
opened
it
up.
should be.
They opened up a whole can of worms. They went beyond the Rubicon, and one way, and we're going to talk about some of the reactions that people are having, but one way they could go back. And if you're out there watching, and my videos tend to reach more than a couple of states here in the United States, I would start pressuring your district attorneys and state attorneys general to prosecute Barack Obama, because I know he's behind a lot of this. Obviously, Joe Biden has trouble putting a couple sentences together unless they dope him up. And for all this to transpire, Obama's fingerprints are all over this. There's just no question. It's his former officials that Biden brought back in anyway. Biden is nothing more than a marionette puppet. You know, who's pulling my strings? It's Barack Obama's pulling his strings. And I think they need to definitely go after Barack Obama for election fraud.
That would be the fair thing, but unfortunately, when it comes to politics, fair only seems to matter depending on the jurisdiction you're in.
Yeah. So
you're not going to get fair in New York. You're not going to get fair in California. You're not going to get fair in Illinois. It's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Well, we're those.
It should be even.
But there are conservative states out there with conservative attorney generals, Republicans, and I think you're going to see shortly maybe some lawfare come from the Republican, conservative, patriotic side against this tyranny that's coming from the Democrat side.
I can see that transpiring. I mean, it'll happen.
Yeah.
They need to do it. They need to do it right.
Yeah. Now I look.
Either do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
In the past, presidents have been left alone once they left office. The whole point here is for the last how many months has it been that trial went on?
It's just a little past 6 weeks. So they started. I think it was April 15th. I think it was tax day. They started. So a month and a half.
For 6 weeks, the presumptive Republican nominee for president of the United States has been forcibly occupied for 4 days a week, required to be in Manhattan and not elsewhere, drumming up support for his campaign. That was intentional.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Direct election interference.
Yeah,
no questions. Direct interference of the election process. The other thing that sticks out here was the judge, Juan Merchan, should have recused himself according to New York state law because his daughter is involved in political campaigns that are making money off of this whole process that's gone on Trump in the millions and millions of dollars. The other thing was he was selected. It wasn't necessarily his turn to do the case. And he's been selected not only for Trump's case, the one we just went through, but the Trump Corporation case, and also the Steve Bannon case, which is about to come up before him as well. So this is intentional uh, stacking the card deck.
Stacking the deck.
Yeah, it is. It is stacking the deck beyond belief.
That's supposed to be weighed equally.
Yeah. The other thing was they never. You're supposed to. You're supposed to be told what crime you're being prosecuted for, and they never were. So the whole trial is a kangaroo court. It's a sham trial. It's obviously all political. There's no question about it. But it's also an illegal trial. They had to have broken a lot of laws. They did not give him his due constitutional rights. And you could see that the judge throughout the whole trial would not allow the defense to object. And they couldn't call certain witnesses, especially experts in elections and stuff like this. So the whole thing was a sham and a ruse on the American people. And the New York jury that was there, they were given instructions that almost say you had to make him guilty. They say you could choose pick a crime, any crime. And I think like what Joseph Stalin says, you show me the man, I'll show you the crime. This is kind of exactly what went on here. And so they denied him due process and a whole bunch of legal things within trials. They broke New York state laws, but they also broke federal laws in the fact that they broke constitutional laws. Will the Supreme Court?
That's where the states that have conservative or Republican district general attorney generals will be able to take action because they can file on the behalf of all the rest of the states in federal court.
Yeah.
Against these actions.
Yeah. Can they file on behalf of us citizens, perhaps?
Yeah. The chances are they're going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the federal law equivalent of a class action lawsuit.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's actually criminal in nature.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is the Supreme Court, I'm guessing, could possibly step in because this is directly election interference. It affects election. But also his constitutional rights were violated. Do you see the Supreme Court possibly stepping in the next week or so?
I see them throwing the whole thing out, but in order for it to stick, they're going to have it go through the appellate court, the federal appellate courts, state appellate court, federal appellate court, on up. Now that can be done very, very rapidly. The majority of the cases we see hit the Supreme Court take years, years upon years to hit them. But if they believe it's going to be in the either in the best interest of the U.S. citizens or against what is best for the U.S. citizens, then they can accelerate it. They can put time limits on it, and that's my guess on what they're going to do on this.
Yeah,
It will hit the U.S. Supreme Court before August.
Yeah, well,
that is my prediction.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. The sentencing date for President Trump is July 11th, the week after the 4th of July. It is also a couple of days before the Republican convention.
Well, and they probably, that's another thing that probably has to happen, is that the Supreme Court probably has to wait until that actual sentencing happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guess.
And maybe they'll have something.
Look that part up. But it would not surprise me.
Yeah, and depending on what the judge says the sentence is, they may step in immediately, I would suppose.
They can. That they can do. They can suspend it. They can suspend it pending hearing. Yes.
Yeah. Now, as citizens, I was thinking what we could do to kind of protest in a way, and of course, you got to do it legally. And, one of the things I thought of was, do you remember Maxine Waters, the representative from California?
Yes.
You remember what she told her group of people out there to get in their face and give them the business?
Sure.
I think we...
Basically the same type of thing that our buddy Steve and his tax fight group did in the early 2000s. And that is they took they took it directly to their people,
Mm-hmm.
their representatives, and said, "This is not going to stand. You are the employees of the people of the state of Tennessee, and 85% of us do not want what you are proposing to do. Therefore, we will not do it."
Mm-hmm.
They first started in their offices and on their phone lines, and when that got almost resistance to the point of being shut down,
Mm-hmm.
they took it in front of their houses. They
Mm-hmm.
took it in front of those legislators' businesses, those legislators' spouses' businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They just said, as citizens, we are not going to be ignored and just decide that you guys deciding you're going to do what you want to do just because you were elected.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in a direct democracy where they have to check with us every time they do something, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but they do have to weigh what the people want. And so that's where those direct phone calls, those direct meetings, they get enough phone calls to where it shuts the switchboards down at the different state attorney generals.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first place to go. Anybody out there who's concerned, call your state attorney general's office and say, "This is the action that I expect you to take. Here's my name. I'm in this jurisdiction, or I'm in this voting area,
Mm-hmm.
and here is what I'm expecting our state to do on behalf of the former president
Mm-hmm.
and the presumptive Republican nominee." And that is, again, the big thing here. Presumptive Republican nominee. They were attempting to short circuit and completely make his campaign go away. All they did was swing his vote 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
In his favor.
Yeah.
In his favor. No doubts about it. The votes now, go back and look at the last 30 years of voting. And other than the last Reagan win,
Mm-hmm.
it was decided by about 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 10%. Less than 5% in the last
Couple. Yeah.
in the last probably 4 federal elections.
Yeah.
4 presidential elections. If they gave him anywhere between 5 and 10%, the district attorney and the judge in Manhattan just won Donald Trump the White House.
So it's not necessarily a horrible thing. Plus, the Trump campaign, their website was shut down yesterday by so many people trying to donate. And I heard him last night give a speech. I think they'd raised $39 million in 10 hours. It was like some kind of record. It's probably way beyond that now.
My wife works with someone who did not intend on voting for him, and this lady said that it's unreal what they just did. And my wife's like, "What? It's unreal, wrong?" And she said, "No, actually, I agree with what they did, but what they did was create a martyr.
Mm-hmm.
They created momentum in the direction of his campaign, and they probably just won him the election."
Mm-hmm.
This is a Democrat that said this.
Yeah. Do you think states will seek to take him off the ballot with this conviction? I don't know that they can or can't.
They can't. They can't.
Okay.
If the people of that particular state, they've already tried that with several logistical moves on trying to tie him to January 6th, and there's no state someone off the federal ballot because they've been convicted of a felony. None.
Yeah, and there was no felony here because you can't. What they did was they piggybacked misdemeanors and called it a felony, and when there was no crime to begin with anyway, and you can't add a misdemeanor and a misdemeanor and make a felony out of it. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, no, they tried.
Yeah.
They tried, and that ultimately that's going to be the big impetus that the Supreme Court will throw it out on. That you violated procedure. They may go after federal law, but they may not have to.
Mm-hmm.
They may just say, "You guys violated due process and procedure."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they added things together, and you added 3 + 3 + 3 + 3 + 3 and called it $530 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that ultimately their very actions cause them to lose. Now think about our Bible discussions.
Mhm.
What happens? This is a very reflective. So people are going, well, you guys are always talking Bible. Well, let's talk Bible on that.
Mm-hmm.
The very thing that people seek to use, my rights, I didn't ask to be born into this, the world is the way the world is exactly why they lose. And they try to use that, though, as the reason they shouldn't lose. So that's what's going to happen with, besides, we don't even have to start talking about the fact that their candidate is puppet on a string.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah.
At best, if they believe that Joe Biden is the best candidate the Democrats can throw up there, are they not in a sorry state?
Yeah, exactly. Because the man's just not mentally there. He's not physically there either. And it's just so obvious. I think this is why they did. I think this is really the third Obama administration is really what this is.
The most recognizable electable person is all he is.
Mm-hmm.
He is not the best. Well, we got to vote for who's best for the office. No one votes that way anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They should. They don't. You vote for whoever is the most electable. And, the Republicans do it too. Let's be fair on that. I'm going to vote for the most electable because, there might have been a candidate or two that probably would have been a better president in the last 30 or 40 years. But golly jeepers, there's no chance they could have won.
Mm-hmm.
None. Now, in this situation, all we got to do is do measurements. How, pull a Reagan. Everybody's just got to pull a Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
Were you better off financially and with what you're having to spend to live for your lifestyle
4 years ago
mm-hmm. than you are right now?
Yeah.
No, you are not. Anybody who answers yes, I am, is lying to themselves. They're either lying to themselves or they're deluded in actually believing that is true. Now they could argue socially and politically, maybe, if that's what they believed should happen. 4 years ago, the whole LGBT XQ QUE
alphabet. Yeah.
Right.
You're cutting out just a little bit there because I know you're on the road or whatever. Hold on.
Pull out. Yeah, the Democrats have more political clout supposedly now.
Yeah.
But as a life, for your life and the life of your family and you, are you better off 4 years ago than you were now? No, you're not. Is he the best candidate for your party? He can't be.
No,
Biden can't. If that's the case,
possibly.
We just need to fold up and quit this.
Yeah.
If that's the case. So again, they basically handed in the election if things head the direction they're heading right now.
Yeah.
So, like you said, perhaps it was a good thing.
Yeah, perhaps it was good. Okay, well, I just wanted to check in with you on that today. This is kind of a shorter video, and Brad and I will catch some Bible topics later. But since this was such an important event, it's unprecedented in American history. And maybe if Trump gets back into the White House, we suspect he probably will. It certainly looks that way, not only in the polls, but I think this has polarized not only the Republican Party, but even a lot of folks who are on the fence, and even independents, I think, can tell that this is wrong. And I think different ethnic groups that the Democrats have had control of for years are going to see right through this as well.
Sure. So folks out there, that if you get into discussion with anybody about this situation this week, ask them, would you want to be treated the way that he was treated in the same situation where you had 34 potentially unprovable and undefined things being brought to you all at once in a landslide?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to be treated like that? Then why in the world would you treat him like that, other than to draw him out of the election?
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brad, thanks for joining me. We're going to keep it short. We're almost at 25 minutes on this one. So, and we'll probably talk later and do another video later today, a little more biblical subject, but I wanted to get this out there. I know people have, have all kinds of opinions on this, but I think this is going to galvanize the Republican Party and maybe some independents towards the Republicans. Even some Democrats are breaking away in numbers because of this. They see this mistreatment. They don't like what their party's kind of left them. This is the Democratic Party today under Joe Biden, Barack Obama is a party of tyranny, plain and simple. These people have violated laws. They need to go to jail. Maybe they need to be convicted of treason and tried and found guilty and hung or whatever they do to treasonous people. So.
And above all, folks, you don't have to put up with it. Say no.
Yeah. Just say no. November 5th. Yeah, November 5th, or whenever they start taking your ballots.
Yep. Say no November 5th. Say no when you're in discussions with folks.
Yep.
Do it.
Yeah, just do it. Brad, thanks for joining me. We'll talk again a little later on. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
All right, folks, there you have it. The fallout from the Trump verdict. Brad and I's opinions on this. Be careful out there. Be safe. Stay within the law in your protests, marches, whatever you decide to do. Make sure you contact your state's attorney general's office. Let's get the ball rolling on the lawfare back against the Biden/Obama administration, because essentially this is Obama's third administration. Don't be fooled by anything. He is directly behind this, the Soros money and Barack Obama, probably Hillary Clinton, and of course the Democratic liberal media. So hang in there, fight the good fight, and vote Trump early and often if you can. Thanks for joining us today.